River's Edge. It was a nice place. One of the nicest places we stayed during our visit to Alaska. This is when we went to pan for gold. But before we started the gold panning, he told us the history about the Alaska pipeline. So we all got in this train and went out through the countryside there. And as we did that, they told us about the history of the gold rush and the panning and all that good stuff. I took pictures of a lot of this stuff, but I don't remember the significance. I know he was talking about it as I was taking these pictures, but like I don't know what this is, but it meant something to the story. So this dredge was the biggest part of it to get that gold. Left to right, our bus driver, our tour guide is in the center there, and then the guy on the right is the banjo player. We're finally panning for gold. I tell you what, it was a lot of work, so I wouldn't want to be back there doing it back in the day. So Paula Jean won the contest. She got like almost $30 worth. I got a lousy $18 worth. So much to my surprise, all of the motors on the dredge were GE motors. And being a GE guy, I had to take a bunch of pictures. I think most of them were round rotor motors, which nobody knows what that is, but I do. It was fascinating to see all these older motors. There you can see the slip rings on the wound rotor motor. And there is the controller to control that motor. Yay! Now you know what that is. In our way back on the train, I say all told, we were there maybe an hour to do the panning and then back. Then we had lunch in downtown Fairbanks, the creperie. That was a great place. That was a good creperie. And then we went to the city of North Pole to see this giant Christmas store, sell ornaments, stuff like that. And inside, naturally, was Santa Claus.
Latched up and secure. We've got doors on both sides of these train cars. So if you're on
And this is the train you saw earlier in the pictures. It lasted about 10-15 minutes to get back to where we were going to pan for gold.
Let's say hi to Josh, everybody. Josh. Josh is going to be driving this train for us. Should be seeing some images on these screens here to go along with what I'll be talking about. Also, the little newspaper gazettes on the back seats here. You're welcome to keep one of those. If anybody has any questions, don't hesitate to approach me or any of the crew, really. We'll be together a couple hours here. So it all started around here at the turn of the century, July of 1902.
And here we are. We made it to the dredge. You do a good job explaining how this thing works in detail. It took about 20 minutes to go explain everything, but I won't bore you with all that stuff. Just some of the highlights.
6 cubic foot of material. Gold Dredge 8 had 64 of these number 6 buckets in her digging ladder in a continuous feed, 24/7. Top speed of that bucket line was about 22 buckets a minute. If you do the math, in a 24-hour shift, this thing would gobble up, process, and spit out about 7,000 cubic yards of material. That's a lot of earth. As each one of those buckets would scoop up a load of gold-bearing gravel, each one would clunk and clang its way up the top of that digging ladder, depositing each load into the mouth of the dredge called its hopper. At this point, I'll pause again to turn your attention once more to those TV screens. Josh should have queued up for us there an animation that'll be looping several times to help illustrate to you what I'll be describing here next. So as each load would go into that hopper, that material would then get swallowed down into the belly of the dredge into what was called its trommel. And if you're not acquainted with a trommel, imagine it's just like the inside of your washer machine in your laundry room, but the inner basin part of the washer, the part that's all perforated full of holes. But this one was scaled up huge, 6 feet in diameter, 36 feet long, opened at both ends, laid down at an angle and slowly rotating as it would roll, wash, and tumble all that rock and gravel while simultaneously blasting it with 9,000 gallons of water a minute. So this dredge would operate continuously, 24/7 for 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks they'd have a scheduled shutdown for about 4 hours for maintenance and to do what was called a cleanup. A special crew would come on board, disassemble the sluice boxes, and shovel that concentrate that had accumulated into a series of lock boxes like this one. Whole bunches of them. Fill them up full, load them into a series of pickup trucks and convoy into town. Introduce that material into a retort system, a big furnace. Crank it up to 2,400 degrees Fahrenheit, burning off all the impurities, and all that would be left was pure molten gold that they would pour into brick molds like this one. This is a 700 troy ounce brick mold. They'd let that brick cool off, plop it on the table, and catch this. Every one of those 50-pound gold bricks, they would then just very simply wrap in some brown paper, tie off with some twine, stick a stamp on it, and mail it through the U.S. Postal Service to the Mint in San Francisco. Never lost one of them. Every 2 weeks, they would recover on average about 4,000 ounces of gold. 6 or 7 of these bricks here, at today's prices, valued in the neighborhood of $7.5 million every 2 weeks. There was an incredible amount of gold recovered from this area. Back then, of course, there was no such thing as a Lowe's or Home Depot or a Dredge 8 plumbing parts store. If anything broke down out here, they pretty much just have to fix it right on board. As you'll find later on, this main deck served as a big machine shop with a forge, a lathe, all the tools necessary. If anything broke down, fix it, retrofit it right on board. The first thing you want to do then is drown it with lots and lots of water and begin to stir it up vigorously. See, this kind of simulates what's going on in that trommel. The water and the agitation helps create a void or a space between all the sands and stones and allows that heavy gold to settle between the spaces to the bottom of the pan. Now, next I want to introduce you to this angle. This angle is very important. I'm going to talk about this a lot. These gold pans are designed to be held and used at this angle. And at that angle, we shake it. That puts the gold in that one spot. Well, gold is twice as dense, twice as heavy as lead. So it's going to sink right now. It's already there. You only need to shake it for about a minute. Once you know it's on that bottom spot in the pocket of the pan, now we can get rid of the excess sand. We stop shaking. Here comes step 2. At that same angle, I'm going to now float it on the surface a little bit, and I push down and lift up. Down and up. Look at the water. It comes in like a wave on the beach and just skims the topmost layer of sand off the top of the pile there. There's no gold in that top layer, the gold at the bottom.
Let's just put it this way. I'm not a good gold panner. That's all.
Bob, look here. Okay.
Paula Jean got more gold than I did. She had to show me up. She was better at it than I was, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's really good. All right.
I'm excited.
Yeah, and that is actually.
This guy was very good. Very enjoyable to listen to.
Thank you, everybody.